What's going on, everybody? It's Chris Guns, and welcome to the Chris Guns Boxing Show on boxinginlasvegas.com. And my guest is one of the great trainers in the history of the sport, a man who made champions out of 23 different men, and he's made such an impact on the sport that he's already in the Boxing Hall of Fame. My guest today is the great Jesse Reed Sr. Thanks for joining me, sir, and how are you?
Well, I'm doing very well, and I'm excited about this fight like I'm sure everybody is, but it's a very interesting fight.
Yeah, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao finally getting it on. You've been around the fight game for many decades, and you've seen a lot of super fights, a lot of fights that were called the fights of the century. This is another one. You've been around, you've seen Ali Frazier, you saw Leonard Hearns, Leonard Hagler. Where does this fight rank in terms of your excitement level?
Well, it's tremendously exciting because look at the pay scale of this thing. It's naturally the times have changed, but you got two little guys making millions and millions of dollars, and they've been waiting for this fight for the last 4 or 5 years. It's finally on. So the thing that really that I like about it's going to be a fight that I'm sure a lot of people are going to think Mayweather wins it. But Pacquiao's got a shot. He's got puncher's chance. He's got tremendous footwork. It depends on if he still hasn't gotten old and if Mayweather hasn't gotten old overnight. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, you're a guy who I really wanted to talk to about this fight because Floyd, in his pro career, hasn't fought too many southpaws. He did fight Zab Judah, and Zab had a really successful first half of the fight, but Zab faded over after the midway point, and Floyd took over from there. Floyd likes to brag about his perfect record, and one of the only times that he stepped in the ring with a southpaw, one of the few times, was actually in a sparring session with Paul Spadafora, and you were there to see it. You were training Paul at the time. What do you remember about that fight?
Well, that was a great. You've got two world champions at the beginning of their careers. Both of them very, very good fighters at the time. I first turned down the sparring match because we had Paul getting ready to fight Cardona for the world title, and I didn't want to take a chance because Mayweather's a great fighter of getting a cut or something and knock him out of it. They talked so much crap and they did so much bragging, which they're pretty famous for, the Mayweathers, that Paul heard it and he said, "What do you think, Jess?" And I said, "Well, let's talk about it tonight," which was on a Friday night. And I said, "Listen, son, I have no worries that you're going to do well with him because I know he has trouble fighting southpaws. And I think if you do what I tell you, I don't know if he's in any shape because I haven't seen him in the gym, but they're challenging and making all these remarks, and I'll make them go 6 rounds, and we'll see what they can do, and I'm going to tape it." I said, "I'm going to watch it because I have that much confidence in you. I think you're going to do well, and it can up your career and put you on HBO," which it did. But we not only outboxed him, we out-hustled him. He was in, and I honestly do believe he wasn't in top condition because in the 4th round he came to me and wanted to get out, and I told him, "You jump out of the ring in the 4th round, I'm going to let everybody know what a coward you are." And I think it taught Mayweather a lesson. I think it taught him to know that you never get in the ring unless you're in top condition. And actually, Paul got the best of that sparring match. And the way he did it is, and the only way you could do it, is to punch into his speed. He's got tremendous speed. And Paul was a little slower than him, but he had good speed too. And I told him, instead of trying to slip his punches, punch into his punches and knock him down, and then get his heart rate up, which he's not used to being, and maybe we can have him collapse. And well, sure enough, he wanted to crawl out of the ring in the 4th round, and we continued going. And at that time, if you watch the tape, we had his nose bleeding, we had his eyes in bad shape. We actually won the sparring session, and Mayweather was very upset over it, but at the same time, I think it taught him a good lesson not to get, if he wasn't in shape, not to be in the ring, not in condition. Plus, he never lets anybody tape him anymore, and he's never out of shape. He also fired his dad that day and hired Roger Mayweather, so I got Roger a job off of that, which was one of my fighters. And I also trained his dad for about 6 months before he had got in trouble with the law, and I'd worked with him too. So I knew the Mayweather style, and I knew that the only way we can handle him is to make sure that we get his heart rate up where he's never been before and hope it collapse, and we did do that.
Yeah, you mentioned how he had trouble with southpaws. Who did you find that out because of? I mean, did you know that from seeing it?
Every time he's ever sparred, I watched him in the gym. At that time, he had a lot of trouble with southpaws because he really wasn't used to fighting left-handers. But I think he's improved. I mean, let's face it, Mayweather, under all the you look at a guy with 20 or 30 people around him, and they're costing him money, and they're costing him headaches, and they all want free tickets. This guy's handled more problems than Carter's Got Pills, been sued many times, and he still comes out a winner. I mean, you can't question that. I mean, I think through his lesson with Paul, it taught him never to be out of shape and to be in the gym, and also I think it brought him to another level. It took him out of where he thought he couldn't fight southpaws to where I think he feels better fighting a southpaw. Now, I do think he does have more trouble with left-handers than he does right-handers. If Zab Judah would have been in shape, I definitely think he had a shot to win that fight, but he wasn't in the condition that Mayweather was in. And Mayweather, when it gets tough, always seems to come out of it a winner. I mean, when he was fighting Cotto, I think Cotto was giving him trouble in the earlier rounds, and then he found a way to win. So you can't question that. He is a tremendous, tremendous athlete. I have all the respect in the world in him. I do think that Pacquiao has a shot in this fight because he is a good puncher. Mayweather's got bad hands, and we all know that. I don't think he's knocking anybody out in the last year or two or whatever. I'm not sure of the statistics, but I definitely think he's got some bad hands. And if Pacquiao can capitalize on some of the mistakes he makes and gives him a good leg movement and can do it for 12 rounds, he's got a shot to be in the fight. I'm not saying he's going to win because Mayweather, like I said, always finds a way to win. I definitely think that Mayweather's got a big edge because he fights all the time in Vegas, so he's got that generated so much money in Vegas. He's got the political part of the game in his favor. But I do know this, that Mayweather got a loss clause in his contract. Why? I don't think Bob Arum has the greatest love for him. I think Bob Arum wants to see Pacquiao win this fight in a big way because I'm sure he invested a lot of money in Mayweather early in his career, and I do think little inches like that play a part in the game. So if there's anything close, I do think that, I'm not saying something's fixed. I don't think it's fixed. I do think that Bob will do his homework and do everything he can to see this kid get a shot to win. So, anyways, and it generates tons of money. So that's my input in the fight. I mean, that's the things that I look at. I look at the little things that maybe a guy's been out every night farting around. You read it in the paper, and it gives you an idea that maybe he's not prepared for this fight. I do think that both guys are prepared, but I do think Mayweather does have trouble. I don't know how much trouble now, but he has trouble fighting southpaws.
Yeah, and one more thing on the southpaw factor. Manny's not the quintessential type of. He's not the average southpaw. He's aggressive. Usually southpaws are like to sit back and counter shot, and they're usually more boxers than they are aggressive. Manny's an aggressive southpaw. Do you think he can have the same type of advantage that Paul did way back in the day, and the type of advantage that Zab had over the first half of their fight?
I definitely think he's got a chance. I think if this fight gets into a pissing match where both of them are trying to prove they're tougher than one or the other, Pacquiao is not afraid to do like he did with Marquez. I mean, they were always great fights, but he thought he had Marquez, and he went in to fight him, and when he got caught. And Marquez also learned a lot from these fights. When you get guys with this caliber of experience and been through the ups and downs of boxing, it doesn't mean they can't change in the middle of the fight. So, there's new things there that can make this fight go one way or the other. I definitely think if Pacquiao uses those basketball legs of his and uses his angles and gets Mayweather turning into shots, and he lands more than Mayweather, he's got a chance to upset Mayweather's game plan and bring Mayweather to another position in his heart rate that it could change the flow of the fight. I mean, it's just like anything else. And then if, let's say, an accidental butt and not called a butt, or there's a cut somewhere that builds somebody's courage up, you never know. Whoever gets cut could make a play in this fight and change it a little bit, or maybe it can't. To me, all those things come into this type of fight. Anything can happen in this type of a caliber of fight. So, but I do think it's a 60-40 fight. It's just a number I'm throwing out there. I think because of Mayweather always fighting in Vegas, he's going to definitely generate a lot of money for Vegas. They definitely want to see him win. Mm-hmm. That gives him an edge. I do think that his conditioning, the way he's taking care of himself through the years, is a big factor. Is the same with Manny Pacquiao. But Manny Pacquiao looks so much smaller than Mayweather at the press conference. That's a big factor. I think that Mayweather's going to use that strength that he has and the size. If he can take advantage of that, it gives him an edge. But it's not. I don't throw Manny Pacquiao out of the picture. I also think that Manny Pacquiao wants this fight extremely as much as Mayweather. And so who's ever going to get into the nightmares of the fight and want it more is going to win the fight. Is going to have a chance to win the fight.
And Floyd comes into the ring with his father. His father is back in his corner. He fired him after that training session with Paulie, but he's back in his corner. And his Uncle Roger's probably going to be there. And you already mentioned how you know those two guys pretty well. Manny comes in the ring with Freddie Roach in his corner. Who has the better corner, and who would you prefer if you were fighting to have in your corner?
Well, to be honest with you, I think let's face it, Floyd Mayweather had De La Hoya. He's been with Stevie Forbes. So is Mayweather. But Mayweather has really been through the ups and downs of boxing more than Floyd. Floyd has been more in the background and got into it later in his career. But Roger's been through all kinds of being knocked out, come back and win 10 fights. But Roger's health is not so good now, but there's just his presence and his toughness, his mental toughness is so important. But Floyd has kind of never been the fighter that Roger was. Even though he was a good boxer, he never had that explosion power. Never went through the process that Roger went through. He's been more protected than Roger. I definitely think if I had someone in my corner that I'm going to war with, I'd want Roger Mayweather. Because now I know his health isn't that good, and I know that Freddie Roach's health is not good. Now, Freddie's a warrior. I mean, he's been a warrior his whole career. He's been in the battles. He's handled the pressure of all the pressure that's been around him. To me, I think Freddie Roach has more of the advantage of all of them. But at the same time, Roger Mayweather is one tough individual. But because of his health and the condition of his health and Freddie's health, they both are working off of a little less. So it's going to be an interesting fight. You can't. To me, I would love to see Pacquiao win the fight, just to see where Mayweather comes from after he loses the fight. If he's still that dynamic force, and I would want to see it for boxing, another fight with one of them losing and the other one winning. And the one that I would like to see lose is the one that never lost, because I want to see how he handles the loss. But that's just my opinion. I just think it'd be good for boxing. But whoever's the best man that night, I congratulate them. But those are what I see in the fight.
Yeah, in talking to you, and I'm almost done, Jess. I'm sure you're busy and you got things to do. But in talking to you, it sounds like you think that Manny has the puncher's chance and the bigger power in his punch, but you think Floyd is a stronger man because he's bigger. Is that right?
I do, and I think that Floyd has had. To me, Manny and Floyd have too many people around them. Too many people they have to make happy. Too much crap that's going on, and too much politics going sometimes the worst way. So I think they're even that way. But as far as size, ability, I just think Mayweather looks so much bigger than Pacquiao, and with his speed, that could be a big factor in this fight. We have to wait and see. Nobody can second guess somebody's heart. Manny Pacquiao has proven through the years what a tremendous heart he has. Mayweather, late in the later fights, with like I said, Chad Judah, and with these different guys that have had chances to win, he's always come out of it a winner. So you can't you just can't forget about all those things. The odds makers have got Mayweather, I think, ahead in the fight, and they do their homework. And I kind of feel the same way. I do think he's got the edge, but that doesn't mean he's going to win.
Yeah, lots of people think that Floyd's the faster guy. Usually, Floyd's fans in particular will say that he's got the speed advantage. I disagree with that, though. I think that both hand and foot speed, I'd give the edge to Manny. Who do you think?
Well, that's a good point. I mean, when you add mobility with speed, it makes your speed a little different. And Manny's got those strong legs that are extremely strong through all the basketball and all the vertical leaps and stuff. I don't know what the differences is on their vertical leaps, but I think Manny has a better vertical leap than Floyd Mayweather. But I could be wrong. I never have ever measured them. But when I see the quickness of reflexes and timing when somebody's hurt, we haven't seen Mayweather ever really seriously hurt. We've seen Manny hurt with the Marquez fight, and we've seen him get knocked out and come back and win and be the same Manny, and we've seen him get better from being hurt. That's what I mean about Roger Mayweather. It's not so good. You would think he could ever recover and come back and win 10 fights in a row and then win a 140-pound title. So you got to respect somebody like that. You just never count them out. There's somebody that are coming at you no matter what the situation is. And I don't think Manny's afraid to take chances, where I think Mayweather's a little more where he sits back and wins with his skills until he's forced into a position that he can see if he can handle that kind of pressure. He didn't handle it with Paul Spadafore, but he wasn't. From what they tell me, they challenged me and said he didn't have to be in shape, and all these, talk is cheap. But he sure didn't handle the pressure when it was. I seen Paul get inside with that nose and just kick the living shit out of him when he was supposed to be the greatest fighter of all time. He wasn't that day. So, if we can get to that day with Manny Pacquiao, we might see a different fight.
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing either guy get gassed, though. Who do you think's has the more potential to finish the fight strong?
I would, like I said, I have to go with Manny Pacquiao because of his heart.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he's never going to let anything stop him from performing at whatever he has to perform with, and I think he's going to take more chances. I think he's got a lot to prove. Mayweather has won no matter what the situation is. He's won. He's never been put in a situation, except a couple of times I've seen him where he's had to grab himself and pull himself up. But Manny's been in more of those battles than Mayweather. So I have to give Manny Pacquiao, as far as the drive and the determination to win, I'm going to give him a small edge.
Yeah, and as we speak, we're 4 days away from the fight going down, and it makes me more excited, the fact that you're so excited about the fight. Where are you watching it, Jess? You going to watch it from your living room?
Actually, I'm watching because this thing was, I would love to be there, but you don't really get to enjoy a fight when you're at the fight watching it at a big arena like that because of the crowd and how crazy people get. And I'm watching it in my house. I'm having some of my fighters over. We're going to have either barbecue or something to eat, and just enjoy the fight and listen to the commentators and watch it and analyze it in all of our heads and see where we're at. It's an exciting moment. I'm excited about it.